Let's go off the charts in conjunction with the ML Sports Platter, brought to you by CH Insurance. They are in your corner. All the insurance plans, group benefits, and more. You can catch them at chinsurance.cc and all of the social platforms. Looky here, football is back, noon Saturday, Syracuse, Tennessee. And, of course, we have to bring in the Syracuse football insider and reporter, my good pal, Brent Axe, to join ML and Joe Jr. Brent, Joe, how are you guys?
I'm terrific. Good to see you, boys.
Great.
We're ready for some football.
Good to see you. How was your summer?
What summer? It flew by, right? It was crazy. There was a lot going on. The lacrosse team went to the Final Four, and then they were looking for a new women's coach, and then the Calvin Russell story was big for football, and then, we took a little breather for like 5 minutes, and then training camp started, and here we go. Football's back, baby.
No doubt. And let's get to it right away, Brent. When you look at this schedule, you look at the changes, NIL portal, year 2 of Fran Brown, all of it, when you piece it together, big picture, where do you see the ceiling? Where do you see the floor?
I think the floor for this team is 5-7. They've got such a brutal road schedule, as I'm sure you guys have talked about here. That's the worst case scenario, where they lose a bunch, if not all of those games, and you drop a couple at home and then pile up some wins against the teams you need to beat, the Colgates and the UConns of the world that Syracuse certainly beat in a couple of those ACC games. I think the ceiling, 8-4 is not out of the possibility for this team. If everything goes right, they stay healthy, they pull off a couple of those upsets on the road. I have a hard time seeing 9-3. Look at this. Tennessee, Clemson, Miami, Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, SMU, all on the road. That's a tough road right there. So 8-4 is about where I get before my head's hitting that ceiling, Mike.
See, I got him at 7-5. You sports guys, I know you're in the inner circle. Fran Brown's going to give you, just because of the way he's cut. Now, those 5 road games, I believe, 5 or 6. I just feel it. Sounds like we're faster, a little stronger. I don't know, but you guys are in the trenches with this. I got him 7-5. But, Brent, how does he sustain what he did over last year? 10-3. The normal fan looks like they should get to a bowl game. But how does he do it to get the team and the expectations ready for what he did last year?
Fran has mastered the art of modern football, Joe, and that they've brought in enough transfers that should make an immediate impact, and that starts at the quarterback position. Steve Angeli won the job, but if for some reason he falters, you have Ricky Collins ready to step in. Most of the offensive line is going to be made up of transfers that they brought in, and this time they're coming from Florida State and North Carolina and South Carolina. They're starting centers from Louisville, experienced guys, right? A couple other transfers, Jonte Cook notably at wide receiver. And it sustains. And I think the reason that Syracuse fans are basically giving Fran a pass this year is they know the recruiting is good. The class of 2026 is in the top 25 in the country. So they know that there is help on the way no matter how this season goes in 2025.
So what makes you say they're giving him a pass? I don't like that term.
They're giving him a pass because if all things that we think happen, right? The road schedule is brutal. They lose those games. They drop from 10-3 to 7-5, 6-6, right? If you're going to be dropping and losing a few more games, what's over the horizon? What do I have to look forward to as a Syracuse fan? Well, Syracuse can master the art of the transfer portal. They're getting more donations and more money, and they're recruiting well. So that gives you a pass on what is considered a down year from coming out of the gate with 10 wins a year ago.
We'll stay with football, but Red Autry doesn't have a pass this year.
No, he doesn't. I don't think so, especially with that team. He's got a team that I think Mike could coach to the NCAA tournament.
Oh, what do you say, Mikey?
Boy, man, Brent, jeez, you're giving me a lot of credit on that one, man. I would say I would give myself more of a chance again, if I had like 4th or 5th graders to like win kind of like a mini tournament, a 10th place trophy tournament is where I'm a great coach.
Brent, he really wants to coach Bonaventure. Okay?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
That's all he wants is the Bonnies to make the dance.
You and Woj. Bringing the Bonnies back to prominence.
Joe tried to coach We Are D3 in the TBT tournament.
I was so happy for that, Brent. I played D3. I don't know if you know. I went to one of those games with my daughter's now fiance. It was D3 beat the Qs. I couldn't believe it. So I'm telling, because I played at Naz, he played at Hobart, and I said, we should be out there. D3, it's unbelievable. They went all the way to the final.
Yeah, they beat Storrs, the UConn team, right after that. And by the way, Joe, congrats to your daughter on the engagement. But how rude of Kelsey and Taylor Swift.
I know.
Engaged right after your daughter.
How dare they?
Yeah,
taking the spotlight.
I can't believe all that PR over that. That's unbelievable. But I guess they need views. I don't know.
Shout out D3. My daughter goes to a D3 school, so I'm right there with you, Joe.
Where'd she go?
Hartwick.
Beautiful.
Hartwick College. That's right. Beautiful place.
Joe, one more from you. I know you want to hit on Tennessee pretty good.
Well, yeah, Brent, we wanted to talk about the pregame for all this, that it's hyped up at noon on Saturday. How does the Q stay in this thing against Tennessee? SEC, it's kind of an interesting question, but you never know what can happen. We're 12-point underdog. I don't know how they come into that, but how do we stay into this with a big Tennessee team, SEC, and it's a great, great kickoff to the season, I think.
Yeah, the thing is, these first games, you don't know who's going to bring a wrinkle that the other team's not aware of, right? You have two quarterbacks that both came in after the spring transfer portal period. So both Joey Aguilar at Tennessee and Steve Angeli at Syracuse have to get used to things quickly with a new receiving core. And both guys have 4 offensive linemen to replace from last year in front of them, right? The crowd is going to be decidedly in Tennessee's advantage. And Tennessee still can run the football really well. And, Joe, they've got a great defense. Tennessee had a top 10 defense in the country last year. So if you're Syracuse, you got to throw a couple surprises at them. You cannot turn the football over. And you got to get the ball in the hands of your playmakers. And I think Jonte Cook, Syracuse's transfer wide receiver, is going to make a big difference in this game to keep the orange in it. I'm curious if their running game could stay in it because, frankly, Syracuse didn't have to run the ball. As much as we talked about LaQuinn Allen last year, Syracuse is 125th in the country running the football because they had the number 1 passing attack, right? So do you just stick with that if you're Jeff Nixon and just try to outscore Tennessee and hope you force them into some mistakes? Or do you try and control the clock, take the crowd out of it, and run the football? I'm going to be as fascinated as anybody to see that. But Tennessee is a very physical team, and Syracuse has to sustain that. They can run the ball well. What Tennessee's weaknesses this year is their wide receiver core is very inexperienced. They have talent in that room, don't get me wrong, but they don't have a lot of guys that have suited up for a college football game. So Syracuse has to take advantage of the fact that they have a more experienced wide receiver room.
Well, that's good. Thoughts on our quarterback? I don't want to butcher his name, the Italian Stallion. What about him? I mean, game presence. I mean, you listen to Fran a little, organized, takes control. I get it. But what are your thoughts on what he can do for us this year?
I think game manager's not I don't want to insult anybody with that, but that's what Angeli does. He controls the clock. He moves the sticks. He doesn't make a ton of mistakes. He's got a little more experience than Ricky Collins. Ricky Collins is clearly the more talented quarterback physically. He moves better. He's got a bigger arm. But Angeli's just got a little more experience, including in the college football playoff last year. So, Joe, everybody I talk to about Angeli, and you know, we only see a little bit at practice. We don't see everything. But everybody I've talked to and everything I've seen, and you know, put it all in the recipe here. The word that everybody comes back to is he's composed. You can't shake him, right? And I think that's why ultimately he won this job over Ricky, just because he's a little more relaxed. And look, you're playing in an NFL stadium in front of, as I mentioned, a huge Tennessee crowd here. So you want the guy that can kind of stay calm in this situation. It wouldn't surprise me, though, if Ricky Collins is utilized somehow here. If you're going to throw some wrinkles and you're going to get creative against Tennessee, then you got to put the guy out there that can maybe do some things that the starter can't.
You can't ignore going 6 for 7 against Penn State in the college football playoff. And I do like the 6'3", 220 look. I like over the top. I'm still a traditional in the pocket guy. The composure is there. 220 might be the media guy, poundage, but either way, I like the height. I like the weight. I do like what he has to offer. I only have one more for you, Brent, real quick. Is this opener is just, it's bang, and it's Tennessee, it's SEC crowd, stadium hype, everything. Do you prefer weak opponent, kind of get into the season a little bit, win one, confidence, get it going 1-0, or really difficult opponent, really find out who you are? Or is it somewhere in the middle? I feel like it's either way over here or way over there. Maybe it's in the middle, like a mid to low level Big Ten team to start would be something to compromise. But where do you land on an opener? What's your preference? What's your love of an opener in college football? Because I think it is different than the pros.
Well, to steal a phrase from Colin Cowherd, I don't root for your team. I root for interesting. And this is interesting. This is bang. This is let's go. It's entertaining. Texas, Ohio State, unfortunately, is at the same time at this game. But I love that we've got these huge games to open the season. Sure. Now, from a football standpoint, it's much better to start with Colgate or Ohio like they did last year, or some of the other games they've slotted in there, because you don't have preseason football in college. You can only learn so much from these scrimmages against yourself. I think it's better. Like in this case, let's say Syracuse opens with Akron. You let Steve Angeli and Ricky Collins decide who the quarterback is on the field, and you feel a little bit more comfortable about that. But from an entertainment standpoint, sign me up. I love the fact that these two are opening the season. I'm sure you guys remember when Syracuse and Tennessee opened the 1998 season at the Dome. Really painful memory in that one for Syracuse fans with that brutal pass interference call at the end. But what a game that was. And that Tennessee team wins the national championship that year. Syracuse goes to the Big House and beats Michigan the next week. And then think about that. They started with Tennessee and Michigan right off the bat in the schedule. So I love that. There's just so much juice behind this. And we've been anticipating this pretty much since the schedule came out and we knew this game was put on it 4 or 5 years ago.
But guys, when you think about the weekend here, you got Bama, Florida State. Don't forget Miami, Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Right. Catholics and the convicts. It's all about, I agree with you, Brent, that the volume of people that are going to be watching that's intrigued for these top 10 battles. I mean, all these games are like, if they feel like playoff games when you think about it. So, all right, Brent, not to put you on the spot, predictions. You saying 5-7 for the Cuse?
No, I'm saying 7-5. 5-7 that's the worst. I think that's the worst case scenario. I got him at 7-5. 8-4 wouldn't stun me. I picked 8-4 last year, and they ended up winning 10 games with the bowl game, but 9 in the regular season. But to go 7-5, where's that road win, right? I think they can beat Miami at Miami. I think they can outslug SMU at SMU. Clemson's a very tall order. Clemson is likely going to be in the national championship game this year, short of, injuries.
Wait a minute. How Clemson get so good all of a sudden?
Clemson's always been good. They just they went from
really telling them, let's go.
Yeah. Clemson just went from, superior to pretty good the past couple of years, but they have 5 potential first round picks on that team, 4 of them on defense. So that team, that's a tall order to win there. And then by the time you get to South Bend late in the year, Georgia Tech a little later in the year, where's everybody's health, right? Yeah. And how you can go and win a game or two like that. So I think Syracuse will pull off a couple of those road wins, go 7-5, and I think everybody would be pretty happy with that. I think you take that deal right now if I offered it to you, right?
No doubt about it. Well, look, this was so much fun. Our guy, Brent Axe, Syracuse football insider and reporter. Go follow him all over the place on social media. Of course, it's all brought to you by CH Insurance. It's off the charts with Mike Lindsley, Joe Jr., and Brent Axe. CH Insurance in your corner. Go visit them online at chinsurance.cc. Brent, thank you so much. I'll see you at the Dome real soon. And Joe, probably on the golf course one more time.
Go Orange. Go Orange. Thank you, Brent. Great week.
My pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me.
Go Cuse.